All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon, founding master of the Zen Art Center and the Mind Light Way School of Zen Arts. I lead these guided meditations on the first Thursday of every month, and I hold a Dharma talk and group meditation on the third Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. You can also find these streamed live or anytime after on YouTube at Zen Art Center. So I'm going to start today talking a little bit about Zen and meditation, and then we'll go through some different meditation techniques together. Much of this class is derived from my experiences living, studying, and teaching in a Zen Buddhist temple for 16 years. Most of the techniques I'll show you are things I've personally practiced for the past 19 years. First, I'm just going to give a little introduction about Zen. Zen is a practice of using meditation to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we live in. It's about seeking the underlying truth in nature, which we call Dharma. In order to be able to discern what the truth is, you must have a clear mind that's not being tainted by your thoughts. This is the primary reason we meditate. Zen doesn't provide any metaphysical answers. It's just a practice which guides you through meditation to find the truth within yourself. This is why I hold these classes, so we can practice meditation, clear our minds, and encourage each other to keep seeking the deeper truth that lies within us all. Zen practice also uses koans. Koans are questions or statements that challenge you to reconsider everything that you think you know. They push you to see things differently than you normally do. I call my approach to teaching the mind light way. The main koan I give to everyone is, what is your mind? When I say mind, I mean what's the foundation of who you are? Mind is just a word that I use to point to this. Some people might call it your soul or your spirit. Your mind is your portal into this world. So in order to understand what is at the foundation of your being, you have to experience the true nature of your mind. In Zen Buddhism, we say that to attain enlightenment, you must see your mind. However, the mind is not a material object. So how could you possibly see it? In Zen practice, we approach this type of challenge by planting the questions in our mind like a seed. However, in order for the seed to grow, it needs light. The problem is that our thoughts, opinions, and desires block the light of our mind. So we meditate in order to clear out all of the thoughts. Then the light of our mind can shine through and illuminate the path for our seed to grow and blossom. This path is what I call the mind light way. Simply put, it's the process of planting a seed in your mind, then clearing out your thoughts so your mind can illuminate the seed. Then the seed can grow and blossom and produce fruit. In essence, that's the purpose of this class tonight. Tonight we're going to go through a few different approaches to sowing seeds in our mind and a few techniques that we can use to clear our mind. With that said, we'll move into practicing some different types of meditation, sitting meditation, to clear our mind. When we're sitting, you can sit in any position that you feel comfortable in. Typically, I suggest just crossing your legs. If that's not comfortable, you can keep your legs straight. I don't get too hung up on the posture. It's more important that you're comfortable. I do suggest that you try to keep your posture straight, so your neck and your back straight, so that you're not slouching. That way you won't get cramps in your neck and back. If your eyes were open, some of these you can do with open eyes or closed eyes. Some I'll ask you to close your eyes, but you're going to want to have your eyes at a 45-degree angle looking at the floor. or even if they're closed, just keep them in that position. And then we're going to have, I usually have right hand, left hand, and touching your thumbs centered in your lap. If you're sitting in a chair, I usually suggest just not sitting back on the back of the chair. Sit up a little bit and try to keep your feet flat on the floor. And that's a good position for meditating. If you get uncomfortable at any time during the meditation, you can stretch out or stand up. Just try to be quiet and respectful of the people meditating around you. So before we get into meditation, we're going to start with a breathing technique that can help you relax and prepare your body for meditation. So I'm just going to ask that you start breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper than you usually do. While you're breathing, I want you to visualize your heart, in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to me, I want you to keep slowing down your breath and breathe a little bit deeper. So feel your mouth coming in through your nose and mouth, collecting all of the energy from your brain and moving it from your head into your heart. Imagine now that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this technique is to try to align our mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart and close your eyes if you like. Just keep breathing a little bit slower and deeper as I talk. This is a technique that you can use to relax or reset yourself whenever you feel nervous or anxious, or whenever you feel like you need to switch gears from different activities you're doing throughout the day. You can use it when you wake up, before you enter a stressful meeting, before you go to sleep, or before you meditate. Let's just take a few more moments and take some slow and deep breaths. So one of the most basic meditation techniques you can use is breathing meditation. In traditional Zen meditation, we usually focus on a mantra. The mantra is typically a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind that's used to push out all of the other thoughts. In this part of class, we'll use our breath as the focus of our meditation. For this technique, we'll just sit still and quietly count our breaths. During this meditation, try to stay focused on your breath. If you lose count, that's a sign that you've lost your focus. As soon as you have that realization, just start over and start counting again. You can do this technique with your eyes opened or closed. If your eyes are open, just keep your gaze towards the floor. Now let's practice this together for a few moments. I'm going to hit the muktak to start and finish this meditation. Now we're going to go through a series of meditations which can help you set the intentions for your life. The first meditation is a meditation on gratitude. We're just going to take a few minutes to remind ourselves of the reasons we have to be grateful and give thanks within our mind. For example, I always like to remind myself to be thankful for my health, my family, my friends, and my teachers. The things you're thankful for could be very general or very specific. That's up to you. No matter how bad things get in my life, I always like to remind myself that I still have plenty to be thankful for. This helps me keep a positive perspective and outlook in every circumstance. Now I want you to close your eyes for a few minutes and think about the things in your life that you're thankful and grateful for. If you can't think of a long list of things to be thankful for right now, that's okay. Just repeat a few things that you're thankful for as if they're your mantra. In the next meditation, I want to focus on forgiveness. This one can be a difficult one. It's not always easy to forgive, but it can be an essential part of healing ourselves. Here we're going to take a moment to forgive ourselves and the others in our lives that have caused us harm. This is a chance to acknowledge our mistakes and the mistakes of others and express our forgiveness. This is not to make an excuse for the harm that's been done or for the person that's caused this harm. It's more to acknowledge that harboring the feelings of anger, hatred, and resentment can prevent us from being compassionate, and this can stunt our own personal growth. This doesn't mean that you have to welcome someone that's harmed you back into your life, or that you should continue to expose yourself to more harm in any way. It's more about empowering yourself to remove the emotional shackles that the harm may have caused you, so that you can move on from that burden. Let's take a few minutes to forgive ourselves and others for the mistakes that were made or the harm that's been done. Let's also try to pray that we don't continue to harm others in ways which cause unnecessary suffering. Now let's close our eyes for a few minutes and focus on forgiveness. Now we're going to take a few minutes to focus on affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements or phrases that are repeated within our minds with the intention of cultivating a positive mindset. The idea behind affirmations is to reinforce positive thoughts and to motivate ourselves to focus on our strengths, goals, and desired outcomes. The affirmations can be anything that's meaningful to you, but here's a few ideas you can use if you need some ideas. Some things I like to say: each breath is a mantra that clears my mind. Each breath connects me to the world around me. My actions are my mantra. My mantra keeps me focused on each moment. I embrace change with a clear mind. I'm liberated from my attachment to my thoughts, opinions, and desires. Love and compassion fill my heart and guide my actions. I treat myself and others with kindness and compassion. My destiny is to attain enlightenment. I believe in myself and my ability to stay true to my path. Use your affirmations as a mantra during this meditation. Now let's take a few minutes to remind ourselves of our intentions and aspirations. Now we're going to focus on our prayers. You can pray for yourself, the world, and the universe. I usually pray for good health, happiness, and success in my endeavors. I also pray for the good health and good fortune of my family, friends, teachers, and enlightenment for everyone in the world. You can pray for a friend or a family member that's sick. You can pray for peace and harmony in the world. You can pray for anything you want. When you pray, the air collects your prayers and brings them out into the world where they gather and create potential. The more you pray, the more you stir the winds of fortune, which will fill the sails for your journey. Now let's take a few minutes to remind ourselves of our prayers. The gratitude and prayer meditations are something I do every day before I bow and chant. Forgiveness is something I focus on whenever I feel anger or resentment. Today, we've planted the seeds which affirm ourselves, our gratitude, our ability to forgive, and our prayers. Now we can move into the traditional mantra meditation to clear our mind of the extraneous thoughts that grow in our mind like weeds. This will allow the seeds that we want to nurture and grow to become the beautiful flowers that we imagine. You can use the previous techniques to set your intentions and create clarity in your life. However, if you want to attain enlightenment, you need to push beyond your thoughts and words to a realm that transcends our conceptual understandings. To reach this point, you have to completely empty your mind. In Zen, we use meditation to help us reach this point. The traditional technique we use in Zen meditation is the mantra meditation. So, the mantra is used to clear the mind. It's the focal point of meditation, usually a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind. If you try not to think, thoughts will inevitably come into your mind. And so by focusing on a mantra, you can use it to push out all of the other thoughts. When you meditate on a mantra, try to let go of your feelings, opinions, desire, and ego. As you meditate, only concentrate on your mantra. If another thought comes into your mind, let it pass and return to focusing on your mantra. You can use anything as a mantra during meditation. But if you don't have a mantra you want to use, I usually suggest the mantra of Koan Bosal. Koan Bosal, also in Chinese known as Guanyin. is the name of the bodhisattva of love and compassion in Korean Zen. A bodhisattva is an important teacher in Buddhism. Kwanseum Bosal is often depicted with thousands of eyes and hands, and is said to be able to see the suffering of everyone and help those who call out her name. Using this mantra will bring compassionate energy towards you while you meditate. Drawing compassionate energy towards you is like giving water to your seeds, which will help them grow. So let's meditate for a few minutes on a mantra and just try to clear your mind of everything. So today we've talked about different ways we can set our intentions, and how to clear our minds using sitting meditation. Sitting meditation helps you keep your mind clear. When your mind is clear, you can think clearly and make better decisions for yourself. When you think clearly and make better decisions, you can take actions which are more beneficial to yourself and the people around you and the world we live in. Sitting meditation makes your mind clear. A clear mind makes clear thinking, and clear thinking produces clear actions. So how do you keep your mind clear when you're not sitting in meditation? When you're moving around and living your life, you can use your actions as your mantra. If you're completely focused on what you're doing, your movements become your meditation. If you can completely focus on whatever you're doing, your mind will be completely present in each moment. When you're operating like this, you'll be less likely to make mistakes in whatever you're doing. Your actions will be clear. By staying focused on your actions, you can block out the irrelevant thoughts and think clearly about what you're doing. If you stay completely focused on what you're doing, your mind will be completely clear. This is sometimes described as a flow state. In this state, your concentration makes your actions clear. Your complete focus clears out your thinking, and this produces a clear mind. This is called moving meditation. Meditation works both ways. If you sit and meditate, that clears your mind, which makes clear thinking and clear action. If you do moving meditation, focusing on making your actions clear, that clears out your thinking and clears your mind. If you approach your life like this, everything you do can become a meditation. Then your mind will always be clear. It might sound like an easy process, but it can be difficult to do. That's why we practice. Aside from having a routine of sitting meditation, it might also be helpful to practice different forms of moving meditation. One form of moving meditation that can help improve your quality of life is exercise. Exercise is a way you can practice clearing your mind by focusing on your actions. It could be anything: running, biking, weightlifting, yoga, martial arts, dance. I recommend doing a form of exercise you enjoy. It doesn't always have to be a hard physical activity. You can switch it up. Some days it could be a gentle recovery exercise like walking. If you can incorporate 15 to 20 minutes of exercise into your day, it will help you to maintain your health and help you learn how to focus on your actions. Just going for a walk can be a deeply meditative experience if you pay close attention to everything that's going on around you. If you resist labeling things and try not to attach any thoughts to what you're observing, it can have a profound effect on your experience. Try to raise your awareness of everything around you by ignoring the conceptual boundaries that we create through thinking. Recognize that the experience you're having is an exchange and an interaction between yourself and everything surrounding you. Your body is not actually separate. It's actively participating in that exchange. Try to be aware of everything that's going around you through all of your senses. This practice can help you have a more mindful experience and also develop a deeper sense of connection and unity with the world we live in. An artistic practice can be another form of moving meditation, whether it's painting, drawing, making music, writing, or any other creative process that you enjoy or are curious about. If you focus more on cultivating a consistent practice of creating without any expectations about the results, You can learn to tap into a state of mind where your creations flow through you without overthinking. If you can engage in an artistic practice on a regular basis, it can enhance your meditation practice and help you learn to apply meditation to other activities you do in your life. Eventually, you can try to apply this level of focus to everything you do, whether it's cooking, doing your dishes, cleaning up around the house, working at your job, or just having a conversation. It's possible to reach a flow state in any activity you do. You can learn to be completely focused on each moment. If you learn to do that, it'll completely change the way you interact with the world. These forms of sitting and moving meditation we talked about today will help you learn to focus your mind and keep your mind clear. If you can incorporate just a few of these things into your daily routine, it will help you maintain a clear mind. I suggest starting by committing just 5 minutes a day to practice one or two of these techniques. I do it every day, though. Eventually, once you establish a routine, you can expand your practice and try to go a little bit longer or incorporate some of the other techniques we talked about. When your mind is clear, you let go of your opinions and desires. These practices of meditation can help you relax and to overcome stress. Meditation can help you stop the momentum of the thoughts and emotions that snowball from rolling around in your head. When you're less focused on your thoughts, you become a better listener to the world and the people around you. When you listen carefully, you can better understand other people and develop an increased sense of empathy and goodwill. If we all engage in these practices, we'll cultivate a more compassionate world. If you can practice these things a little bit every day, eventually you can learn to expand your meditation practice to include everything you do in your life. Then your mind will always be clear. When your mind is clear like a mirror, it provides a true reflection of everything that surrounds you. When your mind blossoms in this way, it will reflect the true nature of everything. When this happens, you'll be able to recognize the inherent beauty in nature that's also inherent within all of us. What I'm describing to you is the experience of awakening. And if you stay on this path, it will lead you to enlightenment. I wish you all good fortune in this journey. And I hope these ideas were inspiring, and I hope the techniques are useful and helpful. I'm happy to answer some questions if anybody has any about anything we talked about Zen, about the mind. Feel free. Anything that's on your mind. This is my favorite part of class. So if you have anything, feel free to ask a question. Anything curious about what I said, or no? No? That's okay.
Just curious about your background. You said you studied for 16 years in
Yeah, I lived in a Zen temple for 16 years.
and that was here or in Korea? Or?
In Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah, my teacher in Brighton, was from Korea,
Okay.
part of the Jogye order, and he came here and started his own school. He had an interesting story. He lived in a Buddhist temple from when he was 13 years old. And through his meditation practice, he attained martial arts enlightenment. So he learned all of this martial arts from meditating. He never studied martial arts. It all came to him through his meditation. And so his teacher prior to him came to America, his Korean teacher, and started a lot of Zen schools throughout the country. Like he started the Cambridge Zen Center, Providence Zen Center, and also all around the world. And then my teacher started his own practice using the martial arts as well. So in his temple, he taught Zen and sword and martial arts. So I studied the combined practice of martial arts and Zen and learning through that. And that's why when I teach, I try to introduce the idea of moving meditation, because that's what I learned through practicing the martial art. And I think for me, that was like a big missing element to whenever I sat and meditated. I was like, okay, but then I stand up and someone says something rude to me and all of my peace of mind goes out the door. But if you're learning how to incorporate all aspects of your life so that those can become a form of meditation, then you're constantly clearing out those emotions. And he initially, introduced me to that concept through practicing martial arts. And then I learned through my own practice, you can use any art form. And living at the temple is like a real practical application of that, because you're expected to keep the temple, like a big part of living there is just keeping everything clean and clear. So, and we had like chores to do at the temple, things like that. So if you were washing your dishes and you missed a spot, my teacher would like inevitably come in and be like, your mind wasn't clear when you were washing this dish, you missed a spot. Or if you missed the spot, a piece of dust on the floor, he would tell you, oh, that means your mind wasn't clear. So it's a very like practical way of learning about Zen. In Zen, we don't really have like scriptures. Buddhism has scriptures and sutras. In Zen, we don't really study that. We study the practical application. Like how do you use the things that are in the teachings? How do you apply those to your life? So it's less about learning the history and learning like, what does this mean when you do it in your own life? And so that's kind of my style of teaching that I inherited from my teacher, and it's been passed along through generations. But yeah, so that's a little bit more than you asked for, but yeah. Did you have any other questions about my background or anything like that?
No. Well, one other question that came up from that. So the koans is that a Zen? Is that just
Yeah.
Zen?
Yeah, so Zen is traditionally koans and meditation. So there's a bunch of books you can read about different koans and questions. It's like the type, and a lot of them, sound like riddles, like they're questions that are sometimes statements that don't really have a clear answer, or the answer is different than what you'd expect. And so the teachers use those basically to keep you from using rational thought processes to come up with the answers. So you're trying to break through the idea of having to use thinking to come up with the answers. So the one I gave at the beginning of class is, what is your mind? I mean, we don't even really have the words to describe that, so that's why I really like that one. It kind of forces you to really think. But we all know we have a mind, right? We have this awareness, but what is that? Where does that come from? It's at the core of our being. I think it's at the core of some of the deepest questions we have, which you could think of those as koans too. Like, where do you go after you die? I've yet to hear anybody give a rational answer with evidence on that. So I think, and then where did you come from before you were born? Did you just appear out of nothing? I mean, even if you really believe science will eventually provide all these answers, it hasn't yet. So I think, where do you go to find answers? Where do you even know where to look? There's a lot of ideas about these things, but there's no real answers. And that's that's what Zen is primarily studying, is the mind. Like, what is the mind? It's the foundation of your being, and it's the foundation for which you know everything else about the world and the universe. So it's at the core of everything. And as you dig deeper, you start to realize that's actually at the core of everything in nature, is the mind. So, yeah, koans are just another tool to get you to look beyond words. And meditation's another one of those. The traditional meditation that you practice in Zen is the mantra meditation. So the idea is just focusing on a mantra, but using that to push out all of the thoughts. And then once your mind is clear, what's left? When there's nothing, no thoughts, no movement in your body because you're sitting still, what remains when all of that's gone? And the only way you can know that, no one else can tell you that. You have to experience it. And so Zen is all about trying to find that experience, have that experience. And the teachers, my teacher, and what I'm trying to help people is just guiding people towards that experience, giving them a direction to look in, using a koan to give a direction, and using meditation to give a direction. Because the answer is not out there in the world. The only way you can see in your mind is through yourself at this point, because it's like the foundation of everything you perceive. But it's kind of a fascinating question if you start to think about it. So, and if you want to understand who you are and like why you're here or what your purpose is, I think that's a good place to start looking. Yeah.
Question.
Definitely.
It's a little kind of deep. So I've read like back on like Thich Nhat Hanh, like, and him with Buddhism, and he would combine that with like Christianity, and I read a little bit on like Hinduism and like the songs of Lord Bhagavad Gita, and like I kind of see it like in the sense of like having like read a lot on Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, like so like in the sense of kind of like oneness of everything kind of coming together. So would you say like to kind of clear the mind, like kind of come together and like be one with everything and everyone? Like I think it was even said like the mind can be our best friend or our greatest enemy, and like I guess the question is like in the sense of like Zen Buddhism or just the goal of life, that we kind of just kind of be like one with everyone, everything, like the divine, or like I always kind of see like the sense of oneness.
Yep.
Is it kind of something?
So the sense of oneness, and you're asking, I'm just going to repeat it so they can hear it on the.
A loaded question,
but so just to make sure I'm addressing your question, I'm going to kind of rephrase it, and also so if people are following online, they can understand. You're asking, you're saying in these different religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, they're pointing to a sense of oneness, and I think you were asking like how that relates to Zen practice. Yeah. And that's a great question. First of all, I will say like my opinion on first of all, I'm not a religious scholar on any religions, and I even like Buddhism, I'm not like a historical scholar. I learn through Zen, and Zen is more about the practical application. So it's like if you take these lessons and just apply it, what that means, like how do you apply that to your life? So that's a little bit of a difference in approach, but in that way, like what I do know about these other religions you mentioned is when I strip out the different metaphors they seem to be using, if you will, I some people might not like that phrasing, but they all seem to be pointing at exactly the same thing, and they use different language. So I look at it as different ways up the same mountain, so, like different approaches to the same thing. they all have certain themes like love in them, compassion, treating your fellow man with goodwill, and your fellow human with goodwill. So that I see a lot of similarities, and because I don't really have I don't have a lot of metaphysical opinions in my teachings. I think it's possible to be a Zen Buddhist, a Zen Christian, a Zen Jewish, Zen Muslim. I mean, those religions might not like the approach I take, but as far as I'm concerned, it's all doing the same thing. You can be Zen atheist too. You don't necessarily have to believe in God. The important thing is, like, you're seeking the truth. What's at the core of all this? What's at the core of all these beliefs? And trying to understand that 100% within yourself and experience whatever they're talking about. If you believe in God, what does that experience of God feel like from your position? So I think, so I see all of those as valid approaches and compatible with what I'm teaching. So, and to get back specifically to your question about oneness, and the reason I think Zen is a useful approach to this, because all of these things, all of these different religions, all of these different ideas, all of these different tales about the religions and the history of the religions, they're all using words and ideas and concepts. And a lot of times you see, like, religions, they fight with each other over different concepts and different ideas, which I believe are still pointing to the same thing. So there's like these ideas are actually creating conflicts. And so what happens when you take all of those ideas and you throw them away? You throw them away. That's why when I'm saying clear your mind, if your mind is clear, none of those ideas exist, none of those concepts. Even the idea of I'm me and I'm separate from you, and I'm separate from the world in a certain way, like there's some line. That line actually, if you pick away at it, you start using a microscope and an electron microscope, you realize that line actually doesn't exist. We made up a line to see, like, this is where my body ends. So if I take all of those concepts away, the truth is that none of those ideas, they're all things we use to navigate the world, and it helps us survive in our body. But they're all actually like made up dividing lines that don't really exist. If you take your body out of the world, you don't live anymore. It's no different than taking your heart out. Like, it has the same effect on your life. So when you throw out all of those concepts, all of those lines disappear, then everything is essentially in the same emptiness, which is a concept in Buddhism and Hinduism, and it's this, what is left when you clear all that out is this emptiness. What is that? That is the oneness that we're all a part of. So that's how I see it all pointing to that same oneness. Like, when you clear out your mind, then you can experience it, and then you know what it is, and you know what you are without all of those lines and what you're a part of. And that's what, I would say is understanding. It's a little difficult because the words, this is where people are going to start to disagree. So take this as a metaphor, but like, that's when you know the essence of who you are, the foundation of who you are. That's when you understand what your mind is. And that's when you attain enlightenment. Because you've seen your mind, you've experienced it. So that oneness is the idea. I think that, you hear a lot of stories about, like, Buddha became one with everything. So Zen is what I described to you is what we do is our approach. Just clear everything out. Meditation is a tool you can use. I'm suggesting doing your dishes is a tool you can use. It doesn't have to be some mystical practice. It can be very ordinary. So, but learn how to do that through everything. And eventually, like, we've spent so much time reinforcing these lines that they're very hard to see through. So it's a process. That's my experience. I suppose it could happen instantly, but for me, it's a process, and it takes constant practice of trying to see through all those lines. And then everything in our society and life and our survival instincts force us to recognize some of those lines, because there is some practicality to some of it. Like, if I just feed all of you and I don't feed myself, I'm not going to live. I can't have these experiences I'm talking about. So there is some sort of instinctual purpose to having a sense of self that we've developed. But I think we just, in our culture, we just focus too much on that, and we lose sight of the fact that, yeah, we have ourselves, but we're also connected to something greater than ourselves. And what is that? And how do we understand that? And how do we experience that? And like you said, there's many approaches to the same thing, and this is the approach that I was taught and worked well with me, because for me, I liked it specifically because it didn't focus on the differences. It was more like, what is the commonality between all of this? And so for me, what I believe, and what any of the people I'm teaching believe, it really doesn't matter. It's like, what is like, how can you prove that to yourself? How can you really understand that? How can you experience that? And I'm offering just tools in that journey, and not telling you have to believe X, Y, or Z. It doesn't matter what I say. Even if I told you everything about enlightenment and the mind, you're not going to understand it till you experience it. So that's why I think, the practice, the process, the exploration, the seeking is really the important part to all of those religions. Thanks for the question. That was a good one. Does that raise any other questions? All right. Last chance for a question here. We're a little over time, so I don't want to keep anybody too much later than they were planning on. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them, or come back another time, or send me an email and I'll talk about it in my Dharma talk one of these times. If you have a good question, like these are the things that let me know what I might be missing in my own talks, and what people are interested in, and like trying to connect these dots. So I really appreciate you coming. It's one of the things I was thankful for, was having you all here tonight. Because one of the things I got from the temple when I was living there was like having a community to practice with. It makes it so much more of a easier process. It's so easy to give up on yourself sometimes, but when you have a community, it really helps to inspire each other and keep each other on this path. We're not telling each other what to do, we're just helping each other practice together. And we're all having our own internal experiences, but it's like inspiring to me to be around other people meditating as well. So with that said, I'm just going to make a few announcements, and then I hold this class on, again, the first Thursday of every month. On the third Thursday of every month, which is 2 weeks from today, which will be October 17th, same time, 7 to 8 p.m., I give a Dharma talk. So it's less, this one we're just going through different meditation techniques and a little bit of talking. In the Dharma talk, I have usually something, a more in-depth talk about something to do with the mind or Zen or practice, or and then we do mostly just a mantra meditation. So it's like half mantra meditation, half of a talk that's a little different. This class is kind of consistent. It's just going through the same practices and just a chance to practice together. And I also, as I was saying, I've learned to use this process in my own creative processes. So I have an art group and a writing group where we do a little bit of meditation together in the beginning, and then we just make art together in the art group, or we write together. And it's trying to learn how we can use the creative process to bring things from our mind out into reality so that we can get a reflection of our mind, and also using the meditation as a source of inspiration. So when you get artistic blocks or creative blocks or writer's block, you can use meditation as a way to break through those situations. And then you can also, through your artistic or writing practice, you can learn to treat that like a meditation. And so we're kind of having an approach from both sides there. And I'm just trying to have a group of people who want to create together and inspire each other. And so I have a writer's group. That's the first Sunday of every month. So it's this, actually, the schedule's fluctuating a little bit, but this month, it's this Sunday, October 6th. It's usually going to be the second Sunday, but I had plans on that weekend. So it's this Sunday, 3:30 to 5. That's the writer's group. You can write anything. You don't have to be good at it or anything like that. You don't have to even share. We just get together. I do encourage people to share if they want to, because I get inspired by other people's writing, and I think other people do too. But it's really just, it's a positive environment. We're not like having harsh critiques of people's writing or anything like that. It's mostly just to get together and write, and then share a little bit if you like to. And the other group is called the Zen Art Collective. We just, same thing, use the meditation, and then we just create art. It can be any art form that you can bring to class, basically. Just any project you're working on. It could be drawing, it could be sewing or knitting or something like that. I don't know. No judgment on whatever your art form is. And again, you just have to have a curiosity and a want to create. That is the fourth Saturday of every month from 3:30 to 5. All of this information about the upcoming classes is on my website, zen-artcenter.com. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to stick around for a little bit. Please sign up for the email list by the door if you want to stay updated about these classes. And lastly, I rely solely on donations for teaching. So if you're able to make a donation, I have a little jar and some Venmo information in the back. I appreciate anything you can do. You don't have to do anything. I just really appreciate you coming and asking questions and being part of the community. But if you want to support us, it will allow me to do this more often and can keep the space open for all of us. You're all invited to hang out and chat for a little while. I don't have to run out, so if you want to have a conversation with me or anyone else here, feel free to hang out and strike up a conversation. And lastly, thank you so much all for coming, and have a great night. I really appreciate it.